وعكا نحن إلى يافا، في غزة نحن وقلب جنين. الواحد منا يزهر آلافا، لن تذبل فينا ورقة تين. ما هان الحق عليك ولا خافا، عودتنا إيمان ويقين. لن نسكت لن نستسلم، لا 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 لا, لا نفديك لنحيا يا فلسطين. فلسطين بلادي نحملها جرحا أو أملا، لا 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 لو رح نبقى فيها اليوم الدين. لن نسكت لن نستسلم، لا لا.
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
From the river to the sea,
From the river to the sea,
Palestine will be free.
Palestine will be free.
Phansi apartheid Israel phansi. Phansi genocide Israel phansi. Phambili ngePalestina phambili. Long live Palestina, long live. Amandla. Thank you, comrades and our esteemed guests of the media. My name is Aliko Mapi from the team of Week for Palestine Coordinating Committee, and we'd like to thank you for being here. Our esteemed guests also in the front. We normally don't have Kaya from the SABC. We normally don't have so many comrades at press conferences. We normally have the media, but we are very happy that you are mixed with our activists as well. So thank you for being here. Thank you to our members of the media once more for honoring the invite, and we apologize for starting slightly late. We had challenges here and there, and our members of media as well, others had challenges of time as well. So so thank you for coming. This is the Week for Palestine campaign, an annual global event. This is the second edition of it. This campaign seeks to highlight the plight of Palestinians, but also most importantly, this campaign, ladies and gentlemen, is to show practical solidarity with Palestinians. We have long passed the era of lip service. We are in the time of practical solidarity with the people of Palestine. This is the second edition of the global event that is coordinated across the country globally, across different major cities in Palestine as well.
Palestine will be free.
Palestine will be free.
Yes, I think we sing it like we mean it. We say it like we are really meaning it. Comrades, without any further ado, my name is Comrade Mishia Muncho. I am a board member for an organization called Africa for Palestine. I am coordinating the National Week for Palestine this year. And with all protocol observed, leadership on the tables, thank you very much for being part of our solidarity campaign, actually really literally showing us support for our campaign, endorsing it, and having programs in actual fact to enhance and raise awareness on the atrocities that are taking place in I wouldn't say an illegal state called Israel to the peace-loving people of Palestine. I think I must put it that way. Without any further ado, Comrade Bram asked me, please, Misha, please stick to your notes. Don't go. Time is not on our side. Good morning, comrades. My name is Mushia Muntu, as I highlighted before, a board member for Africa for Palestine and a national coordinator for this Week for Palestine. On behalf of the Week for Palestine team, I warmly welcome you and sincerely thank you for taking time from your busy schedule to join us in this vital solidarity program, a global solidarity program. Week for Palestine is an annual event that unites us for one intense, focused week to demonstrate our collective solidarity. We bring together people from across the country in weekly planning meetings, setting aside differences to coordinate an action that showcases our strength when we work together. This year, our theme is Red Card to Israel. Inspired by the powerful impact of sports, arts, and cultural boycotts on apartheid South Africa, we urgently call for the same against the Zionist apartheid regime of Israel. Globally, over 100 organizations have endorsed the Week for Palestine, and we are part of that 100. We are expecting more than 100 events to take place across the country for this week. Like I said, it's a national campaign, right? It's really a global campaign, but in South Africa, we are running it across all 9 provinces, and we're expecting over 100 programs to take place. And I will allude to them later on. For this week, we have countries like Kenya, Eswatini, Senegal, Zambia, Malawi, the USA, Canada, the Netherlands, Ghana, and France, commemorating their Week for Palestine from the 1st, which is tomorrow, on International Workers' Day until the 7th. We in South Africa have the planned following events in different provinces. We have one program in the Cape Winelands, where, not even one, we have 5 programs in the Cape Winelands in the Western Cape, including a talk with our DM for higher education, Comrade Buti Manamela, at the University of Stellenbosch. We have, as one of the key highlighting programs, we also have a march coordinated by the Al-Quds Foundation in the Western Cape that will be taking place on Saturday as one of our key programs. We do know that when Cape Town says, when Cape Town makes a call for Palestine, each and every household, except the others, join the call for Palestine. In KZN, we have over 12 events organized, which are your marches, your workshops, community engagements, which are key. Limpopo, we have over 11 events that we have organized for the week, featuring a daily radio show and tournament, I think the weekend thereof, daily to raise awareness. Because I think it's important that, Comrade DSG, when we speak about Palestine, it doesn't only end up in podiums. We literally do take programs to our communities to raise our consciousness and awareness on the issue of Palestine, because apartheid is not, for some of us, when we were born, I think it was towards the end of apartheid. You know, comrades like yourself, Comrade GSG, you have experienced it, we know. So it's because of the struggle that you went through that today we have so much airtime to speak, and we really thank you for that.
And so we are glad that we can stand together here, comrades, to support the struggle against the genocide, but also against the occupation of Israel over the peoples of Gaza and Palestine. I stand here.
Sorry, can we please have our phones on silent, please? Thank you.
I stand here really representing Comrade Reverend Frank Chikari, who couldn't be here. We served together in the anti-apartheid movement, South Africa chapter. He desperately wanted to be here but couldn't be, so I took his place to just say a few words as a way of signaling our support for this campaign. As you know, several, I'm sure all of you are part of the AAM. It is a movement that started just over a year ago, firstly at the invitation of the comrades in Palestine, who said to us And I was with Reverend Chikani at that point and with the General Secretary of the Council of Churches. And three of us had separate speaking engagements in Palestine to different groups. And we got together to listen to comrades in Palestine who said to us that thing that was done in South Africa of galvanizing an entire globe to drive an anti-apartheid movement that defeated apartheid here. It would be lovely if something similar could happen. And you'll be aware that obviously there were very many activist groups that were in place in the country and around the world that were doing this, but there was a sense that it is important to raise that a tempo, to raise that a little, the bar on this global mobilization to a new level, given the serious peril that the people of Palestine found themselves. And so we came back to South Africa, talked with different comrades in different sectors, and it seemed right to all of us to form an anti-apartheid movement that would push to its demise apartheid Israel. It is correct that that anti-apartheid movement could be launched here. There were organizations from around the country for Palestinian solidarity groups or solidarity groups in different parts of the globe that came to participate in that launch. It was correct that it must happen here. And here's the reason that for me, as I think about why it was that it was launched here, I think there are very few people on this globe who have seen apartheid die. And it is important that people who have that witness, who have that testimony, in a world that is seriously doubting the possibility of the death of apartheid in Israel, it is important that they hear from those who've seen apartheid die. And so we are, as South Africans, it's part of our history, it's part of our struggle. And so we could not but stand up and say, that thing will die that we see in Israel today. It is something similar to apartheid. It actually is worse than what we experienced here. In the worst moments of apartheid, nobody ever wanted to genocide us. In the worst moments of apartheid, nobody wanted to do the sort of things that Israel is doing to the people of Gaza in Israel, where you decimate an entire civilization. Not only do you destroy children, you destroy their creches, the kindergartens, the schools, you destroy their libraries, you destroy their literature, you destroy their capacity to rebuild. You bomb their land to such an extent that for hundreds of years, it will be difficult to rehabilitate that land. It is a cruel, cruel thing that apartheid South Africa never even imagined. So they've taken apartheid to a whole new level. And that's the reason you need people who have that confidence deep inside of them in a world where the global environment is shifting to the advantage of the right wing, to the advantage of white supremacists, to the advantage of those who, for them, the occupation and colonization is natural. They see nothing wrong with it. And so thankfully they have to deal with South Africa. They have to deal with a state that dares to take them to the ICJ. They have to deal with the people of South Africa, such as we are, who stand behind their government as it calls for such sanctions. And so it is important that we do what we do, comrades. One of the memories I carry with me from my visits to Palestine was on that big, ugly wall, particularly on the Bethlehem side. there used to be a graffiti by young people, children, who the graffiti said, "I want my ball back." You can imagine that kids were playing and the ball went over the wall and they couldn't retrieve it. So there was a cry of children saying, "I want my ball back." And I think that is an apt reminder for us of why it is important that we must call for a sports boycott, as total as we can make it. The anti-apartheid movement is fully behind the cultural and sports boycott of every sort. And so may we collaborate together as we drive this home. We believe that we are a generation that has the resolution, the conviction. We may not have the money and the superpower armaments that will do what the West wants to do, but we have the moral force.
As Nehawu, we support Palestine because we believe in the universal principles of justice, equality, and human rights. And I think those are the basic things that makes us connected to the plight of the Palestinians. The Palestinian struggle for self-determination and freedom resonate deeply with our union's values of solidarity, dignity, and fairness. We recognize the historical injustices and ongoing occupation faced by the Palestinian people, including displacement and dispossession, restrictions on movement and access to resources. And I think this can be one of the most difficult things if comrades or the Palestinians are not able to access resources like your health and other things that as a human being you would need. As a union committed to fighting for workers' rights and social justice, we stand in solidarity with the Palestinians because we believe in the rights to self-determination and statehood. We oppose apartheid and occupation in all its forms as a union, and we recognize the interconnectedness of struggles for justice and equality worldwide. So by supporting Palestine, we aim to amplify Palestinian voices and demands. We also, by supporting them, we aim to pressure governments and institutions to take action against Israel. We also build a global movement for justice, equality, and human rights. Therefore, as Nehawu, our solidarity with Palestine is rooted in our commitment to fighting, like I earlier indicated, for human rights and dignity, promoting social justice and equality, but also building a more just and equitable world for all. Now, nothing justifies the 7th October terror attacks by Hamas and the taking of hostages. And nothing justifies the collective punishment of the Palestinian people. Yet, more than a year later, Gaza is in ruins. More than 43,000 Palestinians, mostly women and children. If this is not gender-based violence, we don't know what to call it. And these have been reportedly killed, these children and women, and the humanitarian crisis is getting worse by the day. This is appalling and inexcusable. Meanwhile, in the occupied West Bank, including East Jerusalem, Israel military operations, settlements, expansions, evictions, demolitions, settler violence, and threats of annexations are inflicting further pain and injustice. It is past time for an immediate ceasefire and the unconditional release of all hostages, an end to the unlawful occupation of Palestinian territory as confirmed by the International Court of Justice, and the General Assembly. An irreversible progress towards a two-state solution in line with the international law and relevant UN resolutions. Now, with Israel and Palestine living side by side in peace and security, and Jerusalem as the capital of both states. As I'm about to conclude, as I promised, Program Director, we call for the suspension of Israel's team from FIFA in solidarity with the Palestinian people's struggle for justice, equality, and liberation. Now, we continue as Nehawu to stand in solidarity with the Palestinian people and their inalienable rights to live in peace, solidarity, and dignity. Free, free Palestine.
Free, free Palestine.
From the river to the sea.
From the river to the sea.
Thank you very much, Program Director. This is our short message, and we hope that it will actually, make sense and it will be captured correctly. And maybe lastly, what we can say, this should not just be a talk show or a program for today. It must be a program that will then give birth to other programs on a day-to-day basis where our voice will be heard until the Palestinians are freed. Amandla.
From Pope Crew, we are here today to bring these fraternal greetings to the Palestine Africa community, COSATU, and affiliates and international community and members of the media. Firstly, we need to unpack and tell you why do we participate as an organization. Pope Crew, maybe others don't understand what is this Pope Crew. People understand that is the police and civil right, is the police and prison and traffic officials. In between, there is a civil right. A civil right means that we are not focusing only at the workplace. We are not only focusing only on the police and the prison, but the civil right component makes us to be more advantageous to deal with issues that affect the communities and everybody. So that is why Pope Crew is a police and prison civil rights union. So in this campaign, which endorses a week for Palestine, we as Pope Crew stand firm because we understand very well what Palestine is going through. We were in the belly of apartheid, some of us. Before we started in 1989, when the African National Congress was not allowed to tell us what is the truth, we were the one who were championing that advantage, to disadvantage the African National Congress. But through our revolutionary leaders that we stand on their shoulders, they make it a point that enough is enough. And we can't take it anymore, that we must be used to kill our own people, to stop the revolution that must come to liberate us. Then Pope Crew decided that before even the release of Holy Hlahla Mandela, it must fight the enemy, which was then the regime of that time, apartheid. In 1993, they have no choice. They have to recognize us and make sure that they open up for us so that we organize. 36 years down the line, we are still here. We are still existing. When then the flock of those days said there will be no police in the union. We are the only police in Africa and any other country which is policing, because we understand psychologically, if we could defend at that time the apartheid regime, what stopped us to defend the democratic movement of this day? So we are here today in solidarity with the Palestinian people, struggle against apartheid because we understand it better. Occupation of a genocide in this global week. We are saying not only FIFA, DSG. Let's start at home. What is SAFA saying? What is the Athletics South Africa? What is rugby saying about this thing? Because sports, we believe that in 1996, when rugby won the World Cup, they say sport unite us. We are saying they must start from this week to make sure that this campaign, they are taking it forward. Then it will go up to Africa. It's better because we've got President Motsepe, which is an African president of CAF. We are saying he must take this program upward. It must not only be here in South Africa, because this is an African program. So when we say FIFA, in the history of Benin, they've taken a campaign of discrimination against our own African people when they go to Europe. When they play, they were being shown that they display monkeys, and all. That is racism. The same racism that is happening in sport is the same racism that Palestinian people are affected on. So we are saying we support the Red Card Israel campaign, advocating for FIFA to suspend Israel from this activity. We call upon to boycott all sport arena in support of the Palestinian liberation. We take note of the Israel club and teams continue to play and compete freely without being challenged. But if South Africa can do something, there are those who think they've got a lot of power. They will start and say they want to challenge South Africa. So we stand firm. We applaud also our government for taking this genocide to the Court of International in Hague, as it's sitting this week. We as POCO affiliated in the World Federation Trade Union WAFTU and the Trade Union International Public Service, which is TUI and PSA, pledge our solidarity to the people of Palestine. We call upon to the end of genocide and immediate halt of action creating demographic changes in Palestine. We are committed in supporting the initiative at various forums, including the International Court of Justice, to hold Israel accountable. We want to see them being held accountable because we know that they are being used by those big powers who are making them their proxy to deal with Palestine for their own selfish, narrow reason. We're saying in preparation for the May Day, on the 1st of May, tomorrow, that is why we came here to say, as Pope Group, we are behind this campaign for stable, decent work, as we know that they've blockaded the places of Palestine, that they must not get services. We are also calling for, we are going to make it to say universal free health, public health care, comprehensive social security, and peace and dignity for all oppressed people. As we are saying today, workers of this world, unite, because there's nothing to lose. Amandla!
Maiden speech in Parliament, I called that the resistance in Palestine must be armed. We then hosted the resistance on the Parliament grounds and did the funeral prayers for all those martyrs of the genocide. 60,000 marchers marched to Parliament in Cape Town, and Al-Jamaa is now piloting their bill, which hopefully will become an act criminalizing apartheid in South Africa and punishing those who promote apartheid activities like supporting Israel. In this way, we want to wipe out all support in Parliament and outside Parliament for Israel, and those who do that must have their day in court. Today, as we launch the 2025 Week for Palestine campaign under the theme Red Card Israel, we stand in solidarity with the oppressed people of Palestine. Recently, members of my party unapologetically spearheaded a campaign to rename Sandton Drive to Leila Khalid Drive, and this was also meant to be a powerful tribute to a Palestinian icon who led from the front and never compromised. Now, the Red Card Israel theme should be echoed across the continent and globally as a rightful clarion call to the world. Israel must be expelled from all international spaces that legitimize its crimes and condone its genocide. So our NGOs and other bodies should implore FIFA to expel it immediately, just as apartheid South Africa was banned from global sports. Israel's apartheid regime deserves to be red carpeted. No international body such as FIFA can claim neutrality while the Zionist state's war crimes continue unabatedly. We and many other related organizations demand the suspension of the Zionist teams be banned from all FIFA competitions. This should be viewed as the right step, ensuring that it not only gets isolated, but that will make sure that this rogue state gets stripped from being recognized. Further, we demand that SAFA too speaks up in support of this red card campaign, no matter if the Minister of Sports is Gayton McKenzie. The letter, which runs from the 1st to the 7th of May 2025, that is the red card campaign, should be seen as an annual global campaign. Let me use this chance, with the assistance of the media, to call on all South African civil society, trade unions, students and faith communities to join the Week for Palestine. Let us attend the events, share the messages, and demand that government and FIFA act decisively. To FIFA we say, issue the red carpet that Israel deserves. Red card Israel. Can you repeat after me? Red card Israel. Red card Israel. Red card Israel. This clarion call worked in South Africa, and it will work now. It was the red cards in sport that led to the freedoms we in South Africa enjoy today. In the matter between our ZAPU, hope there's some ZAPU supporters here, versus the President of the Republic of South Africa, 1996 SA 672 CC, the court explicitly recognized apartheid as a crime against humanity. The Human Rights Watch and Amnesty International have submitted findings to the ICJ that Israel meets the Rome Statute definition of apartheid. The crime of apartheid is already a crime under South African law due to the incorporation in 2002 of the Rome Statute of the ICC into our domestic law. I want to conclude, Program Director, by stating that it is very important to have these kind of events. We have the social media Infada representatives here, and they confronted me and said, what does honorable members of parliament do to take forward the kind of activities that we are doing so that it results, for example, in acts of parliament to support the struggle for the freedom in Palestine, because remember that South Africa is still not free. Secondly, that the #1 apartheid state is Israel, And I'm very embarrassed to say that the number 2 state is South Africa. There's just too many apartheid activities in South Africa if you look at the complicity that is happening inside and outside Parliament. So it is very important for South Africa going forward to implement the convention that it signed, that those who support apartheid, and earlier I gave you the references that support Israel, must have their day in court. But we don't have to wait for the act of parliament that has been initiated by the 60,000 marchers that presented their bill to Parliament and which Al-Jamaa is piloting for them. It's already in our law to charge those who promote apartheid, and one of the ways you promote apartheid is by showing support for Israel. So those members of Parliament from different political parties that went to Israel and came back to say, no, everything is fine, that is an apartheid activity. And they should be punished. So we have prepared the necessary statements to be given to the police or to the South African Human Rights Commission or to the National Prosecution Authority to refer the suspects to them for their consideration, to issue case numbers and to charge them. We cannot have in South Africa people who claim to be South Africans to promote apartheid, because in 1994 many politicians like President Nelson Mandela said never again. And right in front of our eyes, it is happening. So Al-Jamaa hopes to lay the criminal charges against the members of Parliament, are now removing honourable from that, so that they can have their day in court. But this event, we like to compliment this 1 week of activities supported by the over 100 activist organizations that represent the will of the people of South Africa. I think that event is very noble, and I hope that the media will do what it can to get all South Africans to support the Week for Palestine event. Thank you very much.
We gathered here today to, amongst others, reaffirm our commitment to international solidarity, but of importance to join people of the world in a program that is dedicated towards the emancipation of the people of Palestine, branded Week for Palestine. As the African National Congress, led by the President, Comrade Cyril Ramaphosa, ours is not just a position that we hold, but we can also be seen through our actions. And today we're here to come and affirm that we are part of this campaign of solidarity, a campaign for justice, and a campaign for liberation. We reaffirm our resolute commitment to the Palestinian people's struggle for freedom, dignity, and self-determination. We proudly, as the African National Congress, endorse Week for Palestine, joining over 100 organizations in our country, South Africa, and across the globe. To us, this is not a symbolic gesture, but again, another call to action. It can't be a stop and start. It has to be a continuous action, as we have also seen how many nations and peace-loving people of the world continued to give us the necessary support, pledge solidarity with us, not only through petitions and protests, but also in action. We need to remind ourselves and the world that the genocide in Palestine, the dehumanization of the people of Palestine, didn't start in October. It is now a 77-year-old act of atrocities, undermining of human rights, and disenfranchising the people of Palestine. And that in a few days' time, on the 15th of May, it will be 77 years since the occupation of Palestine. From the streets of our country, we will also be mobilizing our members to join the protests, the pickets, marches and events, including the one that is going to be held in the Western Cape on the 3rd of May, which we would wish to make sure that it becomes a national point of focus, that the world can realize that South Africa stands united behind the people of Palestine and their cause. We also want to demonstrate, standing here today, that albeit the setbacks of last year's May general elections, the ANC stance on the plight of the people of Palestine had nothing to do with winning the votes, but it is a cause that we believe it is just. And we are standing also here today when we know that the geopolitical conditions in the world has changed. However, that has got nothing to do with our foreign policy, as well as our understanding about a just, as well as an equal society that we want to pursue. And we are not shaken by those who are threatening to either isolate us from their own country, as well as condemn us as terrorists, because even a person like Nelson Mandela, that they themselves have now claimed to be the world icon, was once called a terrorist. So our work, our responsibility goes beyond transactional relationships. Our commitment goes beyond issues of trade. Our responsibility as the human race goes beyond a self-imposed superpower. The main power that we all had assumed will act against these atrocities is supposed to be the United Nations, and hence we are also calling for the transformation of the United Nations and ensuring that developing nations are also provided an opportunity to be fully represented in the United Nations Security Council, as well as ensuring that those resolutions that are taken by the UN, the outcomes of the Amnesty International assessment of the situation in Palestine, and the proceedings in the international courts must actually be the best options that must help us to resolve and find an everlasting solution to the conflict and the genocide that we see happening, and as I've earlier said, for almost 77 years to date. Our solidarity with Palestine is rooted in a shared history of struggle. In our darkest days, it is the people of Palestine, amongst many others, who under their own horrible conditions took a stance and identified with the liberation movement, the ANC, and pledged solidarity whilst they themselves were terrorized and dehumanized in their own country. We were bound by a common enemy, settler colonial oppression that sought to dispossess us of our lands and erase our identities. The Palestinian people remain our brothers and sisters, and therefore their fight is our fight. Many of us have been in the same situation as the children of Palestine, defending ourselves against the apartheid police system, using a dustbin lid and a stone to fight against the hippos and Caspers in our country. So we know it, we have lived it. The displacement of communities and of families who have lived in those circumstances here in our country through the forced removals. So what is happening in Palestine and against the people of Palestine is a continuation of what the ANC had to stand up and fight against in our country. But because we believe in progressive internationalism, the cause for a just, a fair, and transparent process towards self-determination by the people of Palestine goes beyond transactional relationships. The South Africa's history of land dispossession, of apartheid, and human rights violations compels us to stand with the oppressed worldwide, not forgetting many others such as Western Sahara and Cuba. Just as the global anti-apartheid movement in the 70s and in the 80s, through boycotts, sanctions, and diplomatic pressure, helped secure our freedom, as what the president of Al-Jamaa has said, we are also called to support the Palestinian people in standing up against the genocidal apartheid regime of Benjamin Netanyahu. And therefore the week for Palestine should be one that we act beyond protests and beyond marches and beyond just press conferences. We all have a role and we all can make a difference. We may call for a red card on Israel in terms of sport, but we, workers of this country, can make a huge difference. I've just said that to Comrade President of Pop Crew and our TG, that we do need to hold each one of us accountable in terms of the tasks that we have failed to execute. As the leading party in government, together with Al-Jamaa in the government of national unity, we are quite aware of the threats and attacks aimed at bullying South Africa for our principled solidarity with Palestine. Some of our own comrades' names are already in the draft bill. Organizations are already in the draft bill. But it is fine not to go to America. Yes. But it is cool to go to Palestine. Yes.
As a Palestinian, standing here among comrades across this continent, I want to express something very simple but deeply felt. We see you. We thank you. We do not take your solidarity for granted, not in these times, not while our people in Gaza are being massacred, displaced again and again, starved, bombed, and buried alive, in all full view of the world. I reiterate the comrades that spoke before me, solidarity is not a feeling, not a gesture, it's a material commitment to isolate apartheid, to defund the genocidal machine of Zionism, to shut down Zionism wherever it tries to disguise itself, whether on the football pitch, in academic partnerships, or in so-called normalization deals. This campaign, Red Card Israel, is not just a slogan, I agree. It's a call to action, a demand for accountability, a refusal to be complicit. It tells the world that Israel cannot continue to play on the field of international legitimacy while it wages a genocide against our people. But let me be honest with you. Symbolic gestures are not enough. We need to see real courage from governments, from institutions, from communities, courage to boycott, courage to divest, but most importantly, courage to sanction. Courage to name Zionism not as an abstract ideology, but as a violent colonial project, one that has no place in our sports, our culture, our campuses, our politics, has no place anywhere. The genocide has not stopped. Zionism is in fact not hiding. It is emboldened. And so we must be in fact way bolder. It's not enough to say not in our name. We must say not in our spaces, not with our resources, not with our silence. Let's be very clear. Palestinians are not waiting to be saved. Our people are already fighting back. In Gaza, in the West Bank, in exile, in every camp, we are resisting. And we must reject all framing that demonizes that resistance. Any solidarity that shies away from the heroic acts of those putting themselves on the line to free Palestinians, I'm sorry to say, it's not solidarity. So today, as we red card Israel, let us also red card every effort to silence Palestinian voices, to criminalize our liberation struggle, to separate us from our right to resist and those who are actively resisting. And to all of you here today, to Africa for Palestine, to all of the organizers, every organization, activist, and community member who continues to show up, you remind us the path to liberation is built in collective struggle and in meaningful solidarity. Today, yes, we are giving Israel the red card in the Red Card Israel campaign, but tomorrow, maybe, let's also red card Zionism. And let's also free Palestine. Thank you.
I think there has to be an appreciation and an understanding that this is a journey which unfortunately we must shorten. No, we have to shorten this journey, and all the activities that you see, including that of the ICJ that is happening now, is part and parcel of the bigger picture of mobilization of the entire world. And as the DSG said, we need to act and not act and have start and stop. Let us have a continued effort of ensuring that, like we ended apartheid South Africa, let us also end apartheid Israel in all forms.
أنا دمي فلسطيني